Tony and Eric literally gave their lives for another to become true American heroes. They were American heroes way before that. They gave and gave every single day.
Eric worked hard, but he loved his family even harder.
Tony lives in our memories. Linda, he'll always be there.
Westerville Strong will become even stronger.
Joering and Officer Morelli, may you rest in peace knowing your strength lives on in your wife, and your legacy will be carried on through your children, and as your honor will continue with all of us. Thank you both for your service at Red TV, knowing we have to watch from here.
The final call for Westerville police officers Eric Joering and Anthony Morelli. Today, we witnessed a massive show of support for their families as they ended their watch.
You all knew before this day, before this event, that Tony and Eric were true American heroes.
Right now, Chopper 10 is above the officers' final procession. A long line of police cars with flashing lights are making their way through Westerville right now. People have lined the streets to pay their respects.
Thanks for joining us tonight to honor these officers. I'm Jerry Revish.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. Certainly an emotional day as we learned about the men behind the badge and how they made Westerville a better place to live. Glenn McIntyre, Karina Nova, and Maureen Cosat have been covering the funeral, the memorial, and the procession.
We start with Maureen Cosat, who watched that moving tribute inside St. Paul the Apostle Church. Maureen?
It's such a huge church, Jerry. It fits 2,000 people, but throughout the ceremony, you could have heard a pin drop as everyone in attendance clung to every word.
We are here to honor two true American heroes. When I look in here and I look outside, what a fantastic tribute.
He loved being a police officer. He was born to serve. He loved to serve his community. But when he left work, there was no doubt that his girls were his entire world.
There were stories after stories, and seemed the theme was how much he liked to smile and party.
The funeral service ended with everyone inside standing up and applauding the officers, a standing ovation, something we haven't seen ever, and something that officers we talked to afterwards said we should do that every time. Live in Westerville, Maureen Cosat, 10 TV News.
Maureen, thank you. Now, there were moments of sorrow, but moments of laughter during the funeral. The Westerville police chief talked about Officer Morelli's love for his family and how excited he was for his daughter's upcoming wedding. We heard about Officer Joering's love for his daughters, how he would let them do his hair, but he stopped at the makeup. And then there was his love for his canine, Sam.
Eric was a person who loved life. He loved his wife, he loved his girls, he loved his dog, he loved his job. And this past year, getting to become a K-9 officer and to work with his new partner, Sam, was the greatest achievement in his 17-year career with the Westerville Division of Police.
K-9 Sam stopped in front of Officer Joering's casket before the funeral. He's retired now and will stay with the Joering family.
And outside, a row of K-9 officers lined up in the show of respect today. They were just some of the hundreds of officers that lined up in formation outside the church during the flag ceremony. And then a missing man formation flew over by Columbus police officers in helicopters. The procession that followed the honor service stretched for miles. Hundreds of officers turned on their blue lights and drove solemnly through the streets of Westerville. The procession passed under these banners flying over Westerville State Street. Westerville Strong, it reads, with pictures of both officers. 10 TV's Glenn McIntyre has been talking with people who came out today to pay their respects. Glenn?
Jerry, an entire community gathered today in grief and in love, and among them were the women of the Centerburg High School cheerleading squad, high school and middle school cheerleading squad. Today they were missing one member, the 7th grade daughter of Officer Eric Joering. They say Knox County may be home, but today Westerville is where they needed to be.
We're here for her.
We're all here for her.
We're all her family.
We just want to be out here and support Eva. She's part of our cheer family, and she's such a bubbly, happy person. We wanted her to know that she is loved, and that we'll just continue to support her any way we can. She's got 32 girls behind her, so...
And that support continues tonight. The Centerburg High School basketball game begins at 6 o'clock. Admission is donation only. 100% of the funds raised will go to the Morelli and Joering families. Again, that game starts at 6 o'clock at Centerburg High School. We will have much more on the community response and the community outpouring here tonight at 6. Reporting live in Westerville, Glenn McIntyre, 10 TV News.
Thank you, Glenn. Well, the procession started more than 90 minutes ago, and it is still going. Chopper 10 is live and following the long line of law enforcement as they make their way through the city of Westerville. 10 TV's Karina Nova is at the end of the processional at Westerville North High School. And Karina, really just quite a sight out there today.
It's quite a sight in terms of seeing all these vehicles and all the people that are here. Just take a look at all these people lined up, young, old. We have little kids that have been standing here for hours, just waving to the officers and waving flags and their signs that they brought here with them. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see all of the vehicles that are driving by right now. We have 88 counties here in the state of Ohio. I'm telling you, I've seen vehicles from just about every single county represented here along this route. We're on County Line Road, which is a very long road for any of you that have driven past here. You live in Westerville, and there are people lined up and down on both sides of this street right in front of Westerville North High School. Some of them have been here since noon. Imagine that, standing in this weather for 3-4 hours just so they could pay their respects. So you're taking a look at all the vehicles that are driving by right now, and you can see there's a long way to go for this procession. We're at the end of the procession route, and once again, long way to go. All these people say they're going to stay here till the very end and wave to all the officers. Now, one of the most emotional things for me standing here covering the story this afternoon was looking into some of the vehicles. We saw officers that were just waving, saying thank you, and then other officers were in tears. They were crying. You could obviously see how emotional they were, seeing the show of support here, and of course, mourning the loss of their brothers. So once again, we're here right in front of Westerville North High School following this procession, and we'll get back to you here shortly and keep you posted on everything that's happening here. Jerry, Yolanda, back to you.
All right, thank you, Karina. Well, Chopper 10 shows some perspective on just how many people and officers came to Westerville today to honor Officers Joering and Morelli and support their families. We know officers from as far away as Texas, California, and New York traveled here to Ohio. And police departments from all around our state covered shifts for the Westerville Police Department today so they could all take part in the funeral and the processional. Now, we heard from families who told us they came out to show their love and their thankfulness for these officers and their sacrifice.
One grandmother said she brought her grandkids to the procession because it was the right thing to do.
We saw a lot of young kids, and they talked to some of our reporters out there, and boy, they just spoke with such wisdom and maturity, and saying that they really wanted to thank these officers because they're not thanked enough, and several of them seemed to think that their generation was a bit, I guess, disrespectful.
Indifferent.
Yeah, indifferent would be the word. Yeah, and one little girl said, when I see an officer, I just go up to them and I shake their hand and say, thank you for your service.
Yeah, something we all ought to do. I was really struck by those 50 canine officers with the dogs today, standing at attention throughout that entire celebration today, we'll call it. And Officer Joering had just joined the canine unit for Westerville not too long before that, and it is so beautiful to know that his dog will now stay with his family.
Yeah. Well, if you missed any of our coverage today, we put all the raw video from the funeral and the honor service on 10tv.com/Westerville Strong. You can watch the afternoon CBS programming that did not air today starting at 7 o'clock tonight. That's when CBS will post the shows on their website. You can find them at cbs.com.
Live pictures once again from Chopper 10 as people wait patiently at curbside in Westerville to honor these officers. You can continue to watch this procession right now at 10tv.com.
And stay with us. Mike Davis is tracking some flooding here in central Ohio and a big cool down that will impact your weekend. Stay with us.